Hey everyone, today I'll be showing you how to do Maraudon with the new AoE cap. This is my favorite boost pull, to be honest. It's a lot of fun. I'll start off by showing you my gear to show you that it's shit. I'm basically just a fresh level 60. I mean, not exactly. I have a couple pieces of raid gear and some Zul'Grub gear, but for the most part, pretty simple gear. You get your 0.5 helm. You got this BOE thing you can buy. Pretty good stats. ZG thing with stats. This thing's got some stats. Um, But yeah, the pattern with my gear is it all has stats, mostly stam and int, and some spirit, and it doesn't really have any spell power on it because you don't need spell power for this. It doesn't really affect your AoE spells very much. The coefficient on them is pretty bad. Um, so yeah, you can see I just have a lot of basic, pretty bad gear. I do have these nature resist rings. I'm not even sure I need them. I'll just leave them on, but I have these other rings as well that have stats on them. So could have swapped to them potentially. And I have these two trinkets here, which I highly recommend if you're doing any boosting, which is a life stone. It will give you mana, give you health over time while you're running, especially on these really long pulls. 10 health per 5 seconds really adds up over time, so it's pretty good. And it has an on use, of course. It's like a healing potion, so it can come in handy. And then you got this thing, Nifty Stopwatch, which you can use to run out of any shitty situation. You may see me use it if I get in trouble during this run. So yeah, it will be fun. Next we can talk about my talents. Pretty basic stuff. You take all your frost points that are standard, you go down to ice barrier. I used to get water elemental, but I think I've decided I like this better. Getting flame throwing. Makes your flame strike have a slightly longer range so you can use it more often. And this is crucial, magic absorption. But everything else is kind of optional. Aside from the core frost points, of course, which include improved blizzard, permafrost, icy veins, piercing ice, things like that are all pretty needed, I would say. And then, of course, blizzard range is nice, but it's kind of neither here nor there. But you may have seen that I already started the pull. Should have ice armor on. I'm wondering why they're hitting me so much. Most of the time when they hit me, they'll slow down and stop hitting me, but I had ice armor on. Mage armor on from my last pull, so I still had that. And I'm going around taking gold from my boosties. Sell these runs for 25 gold a run. It's 330 mobs on average. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but it should be 330 if I do everything right. Well, it should be like 350 if I do everything right, but those are kind of rare as well. They'll require some patrols being in the right spot and things like that. But anyway, back to the actual pull. What we're doing is we're using rank 1 spells to kind of tap each pack. Another thing I do that's a little different from a lot of other people I watch do this is I do wide turns to stack them up as I'm going, so I don't lose any mobs. So see like that, I'm allowing them to get really close to me, then blinking at the last second to go inwards like that. And what that does is it takes the mobs in the very back and gives them a short path, and the mobs in the very front gives them a long path. So on average, they'll end up like in the middle together, and it stacks the mobs really well, better than a blizzard can. So, blizzard's good too, but for stacking, I mean. But it also slows the mobs down temporarily, so it makes the run slightly longer. Just getting to the kill phase is just a little slower. So, it's a really small thing, but I like to do the wide turns. So yeah, other than that, we're just kind of pulling. Nothing crazy yet. If you didn't know, the boosties just go in the purple entrance and stand here. That's where they get their XP. Here's my alt warlock I'm boosting at the moment. So yeah, you just go here, you counterspell that pack. You have to pull it with counterspell or you won't make that little spot. So it's important not to use counterspell for 24 seconds before you get to that spot. That's the cooldown on counterspell. And something you can do here, if you want, is bandage, but I mean, I was at 89% health. It's pretty good. So, not too terrible either way. So yeah, I'm still just kind of stacking them. This is a place where I commonly lose mobs, or if you are going to lose them, you're going to lose them in this area. And you lose mobs where they go so far back and away from you that they just reset, they turn around and go back to where they started. It's kind of like if they get out of the render distance, then they'll do that. So you gotta watch out for that and keep them stacked and close to you. So it's kind of a tricky balance. You want to keep them close enough that they're not going to reset, but far enough that they're not going to hit you. Okay, and so I'm a gnome. I have to use these elixirs of giant growth. You can also get away with swim speed potions, or there's this belt I have, is Silk belt, that will increase your swim speed. You can use this and some cleverly timed blinks and frost novas, but it's just kind of sketchy, honestly, so I wouldn't recommend it. If you're a gnome, I would highly recommend using elixir of giant growth, and that's it. Don't try to do any other craziness. But if you're not a gnome, then you don't have to worry about that, and you can simply run on through that little spot there. So I used it back there on that swimming section. It's not a swimming section for any other race except for gnomes. So yeah. Well, the story is don't be a gnome, or just have elixir giant growth. You'll be fine. So looks like I may have lost some mobs there. I can't tell exactly. So there were earth borers in the back, sorry, deep borers way in the back, and they're not in the back anymore, so looks like they may have reset. I was trying to mark them when I was moving and talking at the same time, but couldn't quite time it. Because a lot of time, if you mark the very back mob and you see that it's still with the group, then you know that it didn't reset. That's what I like to do, is like mark the very back one, and I can tell if it's resetting or not. That alert is really annoying. I need to turn that off. It's a low mana alert. It makes that noise every time. But anyway, so yeah, you want to get over here, use your Blizzarder to make sure they're slow, and then blink on through here when you get a sec. And you can get away with like a tick or two of EVK if you want, but it doesn't really matter. So it looks like my boots broke, which means that the shield I had was more powerful since it has some spell power on it. So I had to click off my spell power buff. I think I just didn't repair before I came here. I only died like once today, so I don't know why I'm getting repair issues, but it should be all good. Here's where you have to be a little quick to get all of these. Yep, got that off. And I'll get my blink off as well. And it's important to blizzard this one spot here to get those slimes up there. Okay, I got it. You just want to wait for one tick. If you wait any longer, you're risking getting murked by all the mobs behind you. So you gotta be really careful. Try to select one of the backmost mobs and see if it resets. Also, when you get to this point, you have to fire blast these sludges. So you saw I targeted one of the sludges there and fire blasted it. That just makes sure that your mobs, your slimes don't reset. There was some video that came out a while ago where somebody determined that if you do that to the slimes, then they don't reset. So I don't know if it's true or not, but every time I do it, my slimes don't reset. So I just assume that it works, basically. And they're getting really close to me there. I'm gonna go ahead and keep things going normal. You have to target this mob, and when you jump over it, use a fire blast. That'll make sure that this pack pulls. For the movement I'm gonna be doing, I'm just gonna use this. My health's getting a little low. Not too low, but enough that I'm getting a little sketched out. And yeah, so we're just going to blink over this way. It's very important to blink where I did there, because the Hydras get so close to you that they could potentially attack you. So you have to be very careful about that. So yeah, those should pull. Cool. Got my counter spell ready. I'm gonna go and counter spell this mob. In a perfect world, you would be able to go in that room and get all the satyrs, but it's just kind of sketchy and hard to do. Like, because you're coming out of that room, and sometimes the mobs are right there, and they'll kill you. So I just don't really mess with it anymore. I used to try to grab that room every time, but it's kind of more trouble than it's worth. Some people I watch will get the room and not get the mobs that I got. The trees on the low ground of the last room. So yeah, everybody's just kind of got their preference. But yeah, other than that, we're just kind of pulling everything we can. Trying not to die. Trying to keep the mobs back a bit. I'm gonna blink here. Yeah, blink through that group. And then I'll have a counter spell for this. I could jump back and do this kind of cool thing and hit that mob. So you can see they're getting really close. So we're gonna have to build a little distance. And the way we do that is we're going to jump to here to get over here and make sure we have a little distance. I almost fell off there. I was panicking. And yeah, we want to drop that blizzard. I could have let it go a little longer, but I was getting a little sketched out by the mobs that were coming closer. Here I like to blink as early as I can, and then hold the blizzard as long as I possibly can, so that I have this blink right now to get to my kill spot. I'm in my kill spot. I like to have a lot of distance between me and the hydras at this point, because if I don't, they can actually hit me from here, which is really weird and sketchy, so... yeah, just try not to mess with it if I can. So yeah, we're in the kill spot now, which is great, but the name of the game at this point will just be to stack the mobs, because before they're stacked, we can do damage to them, which is fine, but it's not exactly going to be very efficient damage. So to make it efficient, we make sure they're all stacked. Now that they're looking pretty stacked, I can drop a flame strike like that, and use a max rank blizzard to hold them in place over the flame strike. You can see it's ticking for like 8k per flame strike tick, which is a lot. And yeah, similar thing here, except I'm using a lower rank blizzard just because I didn't have the mana for the max rank. Now I have so many of them spell casting on me that I shouldn't have a problem with mana for a little while. Part of the challenge is just getting them in the right spot. Okay, so now I have them over there. Dropping a flame strike like before. You always want to drop the flame strike and then blizzard, not the other way around. I'm gonna try to squeeze in a double cast of flame strike here with the help of icy veins. Yep, looks like I'll get it. So when you have the second to highest rank and the highest rank flame strike, both of them will do the dot at the same time. Both of them will tick, which is awesome. So you're kind of doing like double damage for that little area, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm gonna drop that. I like to keep this mob here if he's there, because he'll just keep casting on me and never get in the way of Flame Strike or Blizzard. But at the moment, I'm actually looking really nice on mana, so maybe I'll just end up killing him. Because they do damage, technically, like, every once in a while when you don't resist, they're going to do damage. So. I should have let this slime stack a little better, but that's okay. I can just Nova it to make sure it's not hitting me while I'm casting, and then kind of just go about my day. Okay, keep the flame strikes coming here. That was a little early. I maybe could have snuck in both ranks of flame strike, the rank 5 and rank 6. But it was pretty close. So. Just kind of did my best there. Okay, now we're going to try to get both ranks. There's one, and the second one. You always want to do rank 5 and then rank 6 because you're going to get more uptime on the higher damage flame strike, which is rank 6. So that's definitely the play. And yeah, we're just going to keep blizzarding them until they're all blue, and once they're all blue, you move the flame strike and drop it in a slightly different position. And you can keep going pretty much as long as this cast is in line of sight, which is no longer. Yeah, it was a little sketchy. I let the Hydras get a little too close there, probably for comfort. So maybe I'll not do that next time. But yeah, it's pretty good damage. Just gonna keep flame striking when and where we can. Now that they're getting closer, probably shouldn't really tempt fate with that. But okay. Now they're looking like they're starting to die, so I may as well just start blizzarding. Well, okay, 36. There's still 100 mobs, so I should probably flame strike for a little longer. But they're getting so slow that they're going to be dying soon, which is nice. Once enough of them die, it's more efficient to just use blizzard all the way. Yeah, we still have over 100, it looks like. I'm gonna pull this group now. I leave it there just as an emergency, to like, in case I don't have any imps casting on me, giving me mana. I can do that to provide myself with extra mana in an emergency. At this point, when there's so few mobs, looks like it's only hitting like 30. You can kind of go back and forth on this pillar, because they're also moving so slowly that they don't have time to go back very far. So you can just keep jumping back on this pillar and making them go the opposite direction, and we're almost at the end of our run here. Just got to blizzard down the last few, and we're done. As you can see, I dinged from that. That was a lot of XP. We'll see exactly how much in a sec, but it's definitely a lot. Let's see what this Mage Warlock has. Okay, that was 316 mobs in 18 minutes. Pretty quick. If 316 means that some of my mobs reset, so I think that part where I talked about, they actually did end up resetting. So I gave them just a little too much space, which is something I can correct. But yeah, that's the basics of the Mara pull. It's a lot of fun. It's really challenging to master. You can see there's a lot of moving parts there and a lot to do. And yeah, hope this explains some of the Mara questions you may have. And good luck if you try to boost it yourself. Thank you.